Hey everybody, good to be here today. My name's Brent Moors. Time to explore thinkorswim. Today we are talking about charting. Okay, we're going to go all about charts today. So it's kind of the basic tool that people use, that traders use, is charting. And so it's important that you understand that, and I'll try and do my best to answer your questions regarding charting. And I'm also joined by Barb Armstrong, who's helping me out today. So we always appreciate Barb. She's a rock star. She has some wonderful classes, webcasts during the week. You should check out those, including trading a smaller account and getting started with options. So Kenneth is asking in the chat about exiting options trades, kind of outside the scope of what I'm going to be covering today, but let me mention this. Barb covers that all the time in her options classes that she teaches there. So Barb, maybe you could put in a little link to that. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter. X, I guess, is what it is now, at Brent Moors CS, at Barb Armstrong CS. And just remember, the paper money application today is for educational purposes only. Successful virtual trading during one time period does not guarantee successful investing of actual funds during a later time period. All investing involves risk, including risk of loss. And remember, I'll be talking about some technical analysis today, but just realize Schwab does not recommend technical analysis as the sole means of investment research. Stop loss orders will not guarantee an execution at or near the activation price. Past performance of any security or strategy will not guarantee future results or success. Let's head on over to the thinkorswim platform. This is a thinkorswim desktop platform, by the way. There's a thinkorswim web platform as well. There's some overlap between the two, but they're not going to look the same if you're looking at those. So I want to talk to you about kind of basic charts and more advanced charts today. So without further ado, let's do it. Let's get to charts. This is the S&P 500, but let me bring up another chart that maybe brings up a point that I should mention. It is very effective, very helpful, I think, personally, to link your charts to your watch list here. I have the S&P 100 up here, but you can choose any watch list you want here, personal or public up there in terms of watch lists. But when I click on it, look what happens. The chart changes. So first point of the day is make sure you have your charts linked. To do so, when your chart starts out, if you haven't done it before, you look like it's supposed to be a little chain link. If you can't recognize what that is, pick your favorite color, pick your favorite number, whatever, do that. And then just make sure over here, it's linked to the same color number. And then when you click on one, it's going to bring up the other. Okay, so it's going to bring up the chart over on the right. So that's kind of probably maybe one of the main things that I would say makes things very efficient. We're trying to make things as efficient for you as possible. The next thing I want to point out is changing time frames. At the top of the chart, you'll see there's a little D there, or may say a W or an M or something like that. But if you click on that, it's going to give you time frames there. You can change your time frames here. And the thing is this, when you're using time frames, it depends. The time frame you use is going to depend on the kind of trader you are or investor you are. Typically, longer-term investors use longer-term durations on their charts. Shorter-term traders use shorter-term timeframes on your charts. So you'll want to customize those to what you want. This is my custom list here, but you can create your own. What you can do is go to time frame. You can choose the interval time, the length of the chart, and the aggregation period. In other words, the aggregation period is what's the time frame for each of these bars or candles that you have on your chart. And I'll show you how to change this from bars to candles to line later. But and then the time interval is how long is the full chart there. Okay, so there's that. But you can have favorites. This list right up here is your favorite, is a list of favorites. If you want to customize your favorite list, and this is where you're going to have to do it differently, is you just click on customize list right down there. And then it gives you can add the time frame you want on there. You can move them up or down and come up with that list as you want. Okay, so that's time frames. Make it your own and do that. Okay, now some good questions coming in. I'm going to address some of those questions as well. Make sure you save those time frames. Now, something you may see here is that you may go and you may go, well, look, you can also save your time frames to the top of the chart. I'm going to get to that as well on a quick link. You can quick link to many different things. Let's show some of those different things first. Studies, styles, drawing tools, all this stuff that you can add up there. We're going to go through one at a time. Then we're going to go through and show you how to save that as saved quick links there for you. Okay, let's do this. Let's move on and talk about studies. Let's go to studies. Well, studies are kind of the basic thing here that we have on the chart. Is in addition to changing the time frame, so I have a 6-month, 1-day chart up there. But if I want to add, say, a moving average onto there or some other study, you go to the little flask up there. You see that little flask? You just click on it. You pull it up, and then it's going to ask you what you want to add. Now, this is an alphabetical list, and there's a lot of things on here. I mean, I don't know how many. Barb may know. I don't know. A couple hundred or more of these on here. So if I want to add on something, I could type it in up here. Now, if you just do, say, moving average or something, sometimes it gets there's a lot that have moving averages in here. A lot of different studies that have moving averages. I'm going to do a simple moving average. If you know exactly what it's titled, you can title that in there. You can put that, the exact number, the exact lettering in there that you need, or you can scroll down to what you want here. If I want simple moving average, I can go down to simple moving average, double click on it. That's kind of a basic study. Now, it doesn't know what length moving average you want. So what you can do is you can adjust that by clicking on the gear. So this gear is how you can change moving averages, or you can change other studies. Let's say you're doing an RSI, okay, relative strength index, and you want to adjust the time for the length of the RSI or a MACD or something like that. Click on the gear, and it's going to give you the choice right here. I'm going to make this a 30-day for our purposes right now. Change it right there. If I want to make that thicker, width of 1 is kind of thin. I'm going to make it a thicker line. I'm going to change the width there. I'm going to make it a red line. I'm going to click on OK. We'll apply, and then voila, there's that on the chart. Now, if I want to hide it, if I want to hide this, I can do something. If I want to delete this off the chart entirely, I can do something. So if you have a moving average, say, on a chart, and you simply right-click on that, you can hide it. It says hide the study, okay? If I want to get rid of that entirely, so it will disappear if I hide it. But it's actually still lurking around there. If I go up to my flask, look up there. There it is. It's kind of grayed out. Do you see that little eye? Uncheck the eye. Now it's active again. Let me move this off to the side, and there you can see it. Similarly here, if I want to delete these, I can X them out, or I can hide them using that little eye there. I'm going to X those out and get rid of those. Okay, so those are basic studies. Remember, whatever studies you use, you can customize those studies using that gear. Okay, you can use that gear. Now, let me just see what questions we have. Okay, so we got hiding studies on our chart. I just went through that. Good question. Truth will always prevail. Thank you very much. And one of the great things about you guys is you help each other out. Someone mentioned Williams fractals. Yeah, there's a thing called Williams fractals that people look for, and they look for it under the flask, and they don't find it because it's not there. It's under patterns. Okay, when you go to patterns, you'll find Williams fractals there. So that's a little tricky one-off situation that has confused more than one person out there. But thanks for helping each other out. And also thank you for filling out our survey. We love to get your feedback. Okay. Any questions now on studies? Let me know. Now, if you have a study on there, let me just throw a study on here. Okay. If you want to adjust it, again, you can go up to your flask and adjust it there. You can also right-click on it. You can also right-click on the study, and you can, if you want to delete it or something, you can do that from this page. I think I mentioned that as well there. So if I want to clear the drawing set, or whatever I want to do on that, I can clear a drawing set. Drawings are separate than studies. Here, if you right-click, I want to remove the study, I can do that. If I want to make it thicker or thinner, I just click on Edit Study. Edit the study, I can change the length, the time frame, etc. on that. Okay, so those are studies. Truth says, I don't want to hide one study at a time. I want to just hide every study with a single click. If you go up to the gear up here, we'll go to this gear before, you can unclick Show Studies right up there, okay? Unclick Show Studies right up there. Now, if you see this little arrow, if you check this arrow, okay, now that arrow's checked. When you check that arrow, when you go up to style up there, there's a little checkbox right there to show studies. This will hide all your studies all at once there. Okay? All right. Let's move on. I mentioned drawing tools. Now, studies are one thing. They draw lines on here. And sometimes these are very helpful. Let's say you want a moving average on a particular stock. Let's say you're looking at CVX. Those moving averages can act as a support level. So here I have a 10-day exponential moving average, and we may consider that as a support level there for you. But sometimes you want to draw your line on there as well. And you can do that. Let me just clear off this chart. If I want to draw my own line on there, what I'm going to do is use drawing tools. Now, there's different ways to access drawing tools. Let me go from maybe the hardest to the easiest. The hardest is probably to go up to drawings and go to drawing tools and then select your drawing tool. Okay, that's one way to do it. Another way is to go to the bottom of the chart, right down there in the bottom of the chart, click down here, and it's going to give you your drawing tools. For me, maybe the easiest way is on my mouse. I have a little roller ball on my mouse. I suspect most of you probably have that, but not everybody has that. But if you have one of those little roller balls on your mouse and just click on that roller ball, it automatically, when on the chart, it pops this up on the chart. Okay, so if I want to draw a line here, I can draw a line, and there's different drawing tools I can use. This is to draw a diagonal line. I click on that, click down here, and there's my diagonal line I just drew. And then I click down again, and it affixes the line to the chart. Okay, now maybe I want a horizontal line. What I can do is I can click on that little roller ball, go to my horizontal drawing tool, go wherever I want that, click on that, and it's going to draw that line right there at that point. Mouse wheel. I said roller ball, mouse wheel, same thing, mouse wheel. Okay. So there we go. Frank says, how do you add this push pin row? I will get to that in just a little bit, Frank. Okay. So if I click on that mouse wheel, which is the proper term, thank you for correcting me on that, John, then you can choose whatever you want. Here's a cursor link. And if I want to go to this and say I want to tweak this, I can right-click on this, and I can activate the drawing. So remember, if I want to change what it looks like, I have kind of this dashed red line. If I want to change that, I'm going to go to Edit Properties, and I can change it there. I already showed you how to change those. If I want to just move it a little bit, what I'm going to click on is Activate Drawing, and then when I click on it, I can move it to wherever I want that line to be there. Okay, there I just moved that line. Same thing with the diagonal lines. if I right click on it and activate it, I can grab on the endpoint and tweak it a little, because maybe I didn't draw it exactly how I want it the first time and I want to make a little adjustment on it. I can do that. Okay, so those are drawing tools. Now there's a bunch of drawing tools here. Let me just kind of show you one here. Let's do Fibonacci tool. Let's show Fibonacci. So I'm going to go to, just as an example chart, I'm going to go to Procter & Gamble. Okay, so when you click on my mouse wheel, here's my different tools. This is my cursor, my diagonal line, my horizontal line. I can draw text, write text notes on my chart right here. Okay, that's a kind of a popular thing. Let's see, but on breakout, or I'm just making up something here, but I can put that text note on there. And if I want to make this bigger or something else, different color, I can right click on it and edit it just like a line. Let me go back to my mouse wheel. If I want to draw circles or ovals on the chart or draw arrows on the chart, I can do that. Squares or rectangles, I can do that. Channel lines, I can do that. You just got to play with them. Okay. When you click on it, and let's say you're drawing this maybe the first time you're drawing it. Okay. You click on it and you play with it, and it gets easier. You click on it and you fix it, and then on the channel tool, okay, that failed on me. Let me try that again. On my channel tool, after I draw my line, now you can go and it draws that tool. You just got to play with it a little bit there, okay? So there's that channel tool. If I right click and I want to get rid of everything, I clear the drawing set. If I want to get rid of one thing, I just click on remove drawing. I'm going to clear that set, okay? Let's do that Fibonacci though. Here's a Fibonacci, this little like percentage sign there, okay? When you click on that, now if I click down here and I go right up here, it gives me, I went from low to high, and that's typically how you draw Fibonacci lines. It'll pull up lines, a 23.6% retracement level, a 38.2% retracement level. And you can actually customize the level you want on those, but traditionally 23%, 38% are your true Fibonacci lines. People like that 50% line in there, even though it's not technically a true Fibonacci line. But if you right click on it and you edit it, it gives you the choice to put in, you could put in extra lines wherever you want, or you can decide, oh, I don't want this one visible. I'm going to uncheck it. If you uncheck it, then it wouldn't show. I'm going to leave it checked here, and I'm going to cancel that out. But here's my Fibonacci lines, and these would traditionally be considered levels of support, potential levels of support or resistance here on this. So the stock went up, it's pulling back, potential support here, yeah, potential support there. Potential support here, yeah, potential support there. So if you want to change a color on any of these, remember, you right click, you edit the properties, you click on the little color box, and then you can go and you can choose a color. Now, if these 16 colors don't do it for you, you want some other color, click on more, and then look, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, I mean, you could go for it and create your own color there, but I'm not going to do that right now, okay? So that's true with any of those lines, any of those drawing tools, or studies, by the way. If you edit them, click on the little color bar there, and you can change the color there on that, okay? Now, so that's drawing tools, and remember to get rid of these, just right click on them, remove the drawing if you want to get rid of a single drawing. If you want to get rid of everything, you clear the drawing set. Okay, now let's move on to customizing like the background and type of the chart. To do that, you go to the gear. Now there's a lot of things in this menu here on this gear menu. Let me click on it and just bring it up. Notice the tabs: general tab, price axis, time axis, etc. Okay. So if I want to change, say, the background color of this chart, I have it kind of this yellowish color. Maybe you like it black or whatever color you want it. Go to Appearance, click on that tab, and remember to change a color of a line or whatever, I'm going to go to Background. You click on that, and then you can change it to one of these other colors, or click on More, and I can choose whatever I want it to be there, okay? I'm not going to change this right now, but if I want a green chart, I can put on a green chart. However, you got to be a little careful on this. If I do a green chart and I have green candles, you may have a hard time seeing the candle, right? That probably makes sense. Now, you can change the color of your candles here, okay? Or you can say, I don't even want a candle chart. I want a different type of chart. I want a line chart. You go to Candle, change it to Line or Area. Here's an area chart. There's my area chart right there. I can change this however I want this to be, though. Let me go back. Remember, you go to Appearance. Now, I have that background in yellow on that chart. Let me just move this out of the way. I have a background in yellow and my area is green. If I want to change that, change the background, I would click here. Change the green color area, I would click here and change it there. I'm not going to do that right now just because I don't want to take the time to do that, and it's something I think you guys can figure out on your own. There's a lot of features on this gear menu though, right here. Remember, you click on that. I went to Appearance to change the candle or area or line or whatever else you want, and to change the background color. But there's going to be other things you want to set, okay? And you can do that. Question in the chat. What about the grid? You can do the grid right here. You see that? You see all these things you're asking, they're there. It's just you got to know where to find them. So, so it can be a little challenging there. All right. You can just click on the grid there. All right. And the red lines, I'm not sure what red lines you're talking about. If you're talking about the candle, the shadows on the candles, that's just a feature of a candle. Is that you can change the color of those right there, the border color. You can change that if you want, but that's how you do that. Okay. I think that's, and this little crosshair tool, by the way, you see where my cursor is? I have little crosshairs on that. If I want to go and you can change that crosshair right there. Click on there. Excuse me. Yeah. Click on the crosshair right here, and this gives you different choices. Okay. On that. All right. So let me go back here. Let's go back and let's go to General. Yeah. And let's talk about settings on these charts here. You can choose to show positions on your chart. I have Do Not Show right now, but if I click on Show, you can show the underlying stock, you can show options, you can show all. I clicked on Show All. Let's click on this. Let me just find something I have a position on here, okay? We have a position on BK, KO. Let's look at it. So if I go to BK, okay, here's BK. I have 100 shares at 67.81. That's showing the position that I have on the chart. Let's go to a monitor. Let's go to, a working order, say. I have a working order here, and these are all kind of conditional. Here we go. This is on Pepsi. I have an order for a put on Pepsi. So let me go to PEP. Okay, here's Pepsi. And I've got an order showing right there on Pepsi. Okay. There we go. So clicked on the wrong thing. Let's go to that gear. That's what show positions show you, and that's what show orders would show you as well. Right there, show orders is right there. Price axis. Sometimes you may want to show your chart as a percentage chart. You can click on show price as percentage if you like here on this. Okay. And then if you do that, click on apply. Now, when I'm looking at this Pepsi chart, notice my y-axis, my scales in percentage terms. Maybe you like that. Another way to do that is if you go to this little squiggly line over here, right there. Let me get rid of this other window I have out. Click on the little squiggly line. You can click show price as percentage right there. Okay, and that'll make it. Now I'm going to uncheck that so we can then see that as it normally is. All right, so let's go here. So price axis, I'm not going to hit everything. I'm going to show you the more popular, more popular settings, we'll say, on this. But I think it's these are important here. Sometimes people want an expansion area, probably more often on terms of the time axis, but the price axis as well. You can create more white space, so to speak, blank space above the chart or below the chart by adding a percentage expansion area. Let me show you on the time axis. So here is here we have 10 bars to the right. In other words, when I look at this chart right here, there's about space for 10 more. There's a little gap here. The price doesn't go to the very end of the chart. You see that? So if I click here and I go to time axis and I put it on 0, apply that, this is all scrunched up to the end. Well, that, great, but sometimes you want more space on the right. And so you can put in a number there. It doesn't have to be one of these preset numbers. You can type in whatever you want. If I want 25, I could put in 25 right there. Click on OK, OK. And then what happens is when I look at a chart and say there's a dividend payment coming up, and it's within the next 25 days here, 25 bars, then I can see that on the chart here. Furthermore, maybe when I'm looking at a chart, I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, look, I want to draw a line. So I'm going to click on my little mouse wheel. And I'm going to click here and I'm going to do this. And I'll go, where does this line project to? Now, instead of this being the end of the chart, I can actually kind of project into the future. It doesn't mean the stock is going to listen to you and stay above this line. But, for technicians, that is probably a fairly popular item there on that. Okay, so let's go and let me click back here. That was time axis. That was the expansion area here. Now, of course, you can change your time frame here as well, but we already showed you how to do that on the different setting there on that. Okay. So truth will always prevail says, does the look and feel setting from the main setup override the appearance setting from the gear setup? Yeah, so if I change my appearance here, I could do whatever. Let's make this an area chart here. I'm going to make this an area chart here. If I go back to my gear up here, far upper right gear, don't confuse that with this gear, far upper right gear, and I click on application settings, and I go to look and feel. When I go up here and select whatever I want, I'll select just say dark, click on apply settings. Now I have on here, I have my appearance. I'm showing this right here. This chart setting is separate from my overall look and feel setting though. Okay. So if I look at this dark mode, and this, I don't really like how this looks right now with the dark on the outside, but the chart is independent of the rest of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my look and feel here, and I'm going to go back to my custom setting there. Okay, apply settings, and now we're there. So chart is separate from the rest of the look and feel there. All right. Ram says, why does my trade tab on PC look like the mobile trade tab? Well, that's a hard one. Are you on thinkorswim web would be one question I would have for you there. Make sure you're not on thinkorswim web and that you are on the thinkorswim desktop is the first thing that comes to mind. Other than that, I'm not sure. You may need to call up or do a chat support. By the way, little interlude here. If you do have problems, okay, there is a support link right up here. And you can create a support request. And I will say this, and I'm not, I'm telling you the truth here. They're typically very responsive in my experience on this. Obviously, if there's a market meltdown and everybody's texting in, I would guess they'd be slower. But typically when you do create support requests, they're usually pretty quick at helping you out on stuff like that, okay? So make sure you check that out, all right? Now, let me go back. Now, question, how do I add RSI? Well, we kind of covered that at the beginning, but remember that's a study. So you'd click on the little flask, little review, go to RSI, double click on it, and then click on OK, and you got your RSI at the bottom of the chart there. Okay? All right, let's move forward with other settings that may be helpful to you. So we talked about time axis. I think I showed you the ones that I wanted to on here. Favorite time frames. We talked about another way of you can address these here. I showed you the other place you can do this as well. Appearance, we already talked about. Equities, there are some settings that are specific to equities or options. A few of them that you probably want to be aware of is you can show your corporate actions. That's like dividend payments and earnings payments. I have that checked, and I think most of you probably want to have that checked. But obviously that's up to you whether you want to do that. Also showing extended hours trading sessions. So corporate actions, you see these on the chart. Here's an earnings. Here's a dividend. Here's an earnings. You got to have that checked. I think the default is to have it checked, but you now know where to get that if you want it. And what was that last thing I just mentioned? I forgot what we were looking at here. Oh, extended hours. You want to see extended hours trading. You can't do it on a 9-month, 1-day chart. You got to be on an intraday chart for that. Okay? So click on the time frame. Go to a 1-day, 1-minute chart or something. Intraday time frame, doesn't need to be exactly 1-day, minute. And this shaded area here is the highlight of the extended hours session. And this is the regular hours session. Okay? So let's go here and let me go back and let me click on this. Go back to equities. Highlight. I showed you what the highlight was and what the extended hours. Remember, you got to be on an intraday chart on that. If you want to show volume on your charts, select Show Volume Subgraph. Remember, these settings right here apply to equities, stocks, okay? These apply to stocks. Options are different settings. Go to the Options menu. Options, you got to check these, and they're different. Futures, different settings, okay? Same deal there. So if you're looking specifically at futures and you want to see things, go to your futures tab up there. Okay, so that is the gear settings. There's a lot here. I don't have time to go through all of it. I went through the most common features that I think apply to you. But if you have questions on these, let me know. Now, I showed you this briefly before, but remember, if you have these little arrows here, when you have these arrows, if you check on them for any of these, if these are going to be features that you want to go to quickly, check on the arrow, something that you want to toggle on and off, then that will appear up here on this style menu up here after you do that. Okay. So question from Truth Will Always Prevail. Is there a way to show volume on the SPX? SPX, no, the SPX is an index. We don't show volume on the SPX, but a workaround for a lot of people is to use an ETF that tracks the SPX and track volume on that. That's the common workaround there if you want to see volume there, okay? I can't get into ETFs, so that's all I'm going to say on that, all right? But if you want to track volumes, okay. We talked about customizing the charts. If you are looking at a chart and you want to do an order, you can do it right from the chart, folks. You can just right click on the chart. You can buy. If I want to buy Oracle, which happens to be the stock I have up right here, I can click on buy, and it's going to come up with this. And maybe this isn't exactly how I want it. I would then just click on edit and tweak that right there, okay? I would tweak that right there. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to, you can still set alerts as well. Right click on the chart, and you can create an alert. If I want to know, if Oracle crosses, say, above $200 or something like that. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an alert. I'm going to say, it's going to default to Oracle because that's the chart I was on. If the mark is at or above, or if I want it below, I could change that. I'm going to leave it at or above. And I said $200. Type in 200. Create an alert just there, okay? All right. So that is how you can do alerts. You can also, by the way, what was the stock I had a stop on earlier? Pepsi, okay? Let me go to Pepsi, PEP, there's Pepsi. Here's a stop. You can see that on the chart. If I click and drag, sorry, one sec. Let me go here. If I click and drag, oh, this is an options. Okay, hold on. That's an option trade. Let me do a quick stop on BK, okay? So I'm going to go to charts. We're going to go to BK. And remember, stops aren't guaranteed. If I want to sell, and I'm going to edit this. I'm going to make it a stop order. Good till canceled. And I'm going to we'll leave it at that, okay? I'm going to confirm and send that order. Okay, now I have a stop on Bank of New York Mellon, okay? If I want to change that stop, I can just click and drag it. You see that? See how I click and drag on that? And if I want to move it to 65, there you go. Generally, we don't move stops down, but I'll move that up here, and I'll put my stop right there. Click on send. It's going to change it, and that's my new stop level on that. So that's how you can create a stop. That's how you can edit a stop. We talked about volume. If you want volume at the bottom of the chart, remember, volumes are under the wheel. Go to equities, click on show volume subgraph, click on apply. There's your volume right down there. Now, before I go to customizing this toolbar, let me just mention something because we're going to run out of time otherwise. I mentioned studies on a chart. That's the little flask here, okay? You can click on that flask. If you go to the studies menu, which is the flask that says studies next to it, you can save the study here, okay? You can save the study set. So maybe I have an RSI and a moving average or something on that, and I don't have to recreate it each time. I can save that study set. You just click on Save Study Set. Look, I have a bunch that I've saved already. I've saved an ATR study set. So if I click on that, it brings up that ATR for me. So when you bring up a study that you like, maybe you want a 35-day moving average, whatever. Doesn't matter. Customize it how you want it. Then go up to studies, and you can save that study set. It'll ask you to name it. And then when you want to bring it up again, you just go to load study set. Or you can quick link it, which I'll show you in just a minute how to do that. So that's a study. The studies apply to studies. In other words, studies apply to these things specifically that are in this menu right here. There's another way to do things, and that is to save a style. And there's some overlap between these two. But you can load a style, and you can bring that up. And a style isn't just going to bring up studies. It's going to bring up The type of chart, for example, here I have an area chart. You can also include studies on here. I have a study on here. It's going to bring up a chart of a particular duration. In this case, I have a 1 year, 1 day chart up. The styles incorporate more than the studies. They're more inclusive. So if I go here and I go to my style menu and I click on Save Style, you can title it what you want. Make sure if you wanted to save the study set, you check here, and that's going to save that. And then, I'm not actually going to do it right now because I already have it here, but then when you bring it up, that style, you can go and bring it up to whatever you want it to be here. Year-to-date percentage chart. There we go. You see that? Now, so often I actually am more inclined to save styles than studies just because you can include so much more, including like the time frame of the chart and the type of the chart. Now, you can save styles, you can save studies up here, you can change save time frames up here. How do you do that? Here's how you do it. You go up to that little gear at the top of the page, okay? Go up to the gear. Go to where it says My Tools. If you're just starting out, it's going to say Off. You can do My Tools. You can do it in a panel, or you can do it on the chart. I have it on the chart here, okay? Apply that. Then it's going to come up with this line here, and it's going to give you a little gear. You click on this gear, and it gives you the choice to add a button, okay? It gives you a choice to add a button. Click on Add Button, and then it says, what do you want to add as a quick link for you? Okay. Well, if I want to add a drawing tool, I can add a drawing tool. Well, I draw trend lines a lot. Maybe I want to do a trend line. Because of that mouse wheel trick I showed you, I don't actually have these on. I used to actually have on these until I learned the mouse wheel trick. Then I thought, well, this is easy enough. I'm not going to quick link those. But you can link drawing tools on there, okay? Studies. I mentioned studies that you can add. You can add whatever study you want, and you can add a study set. These are studies that you've saved. So for example, here I have one that is an advanced decline line, a McClellan oscillator, and McClellan summation index. I have all three of those on there. I could link that as a free one, as a quick link there. I could link a style that I've saved on here. And I can also link a time frame. Once you've done that, okay, once you've done that, let me go back here. You can save it to a single panel, okay, and this is what the single panel looks like. Or you can go to on each chart, click on Apply, okay, and then it's going to link up here. If you have more than 7, it used to be 7, but they've increased that number now. Click on the little arrow deal, and you can add more to that. All right. Now, I'm just about out of my time here. Let me just see. I think I've covered the things I wanted to cover for you. Let me just see if there's any quick questions I can answer on that. Robert, thank you for helping me out in the chat. I appreciate you on that. How to import a scan. If you have a scan, if you have a link, go up to the gear, go up to Open Shared Item, and place that link. Copy that link right in there, click on Preview, and then you can import it. That's how you import a scan. Barb has a mini session on importing links. So make sure you check that out, Barb. Maybe you could throw that in the chat real quick before we go. Does a style incorporate more than the chart in the study set? Does it affect the market wedge settings? No, I do not believe I don't believe a style will affect market watch settings there, Villager. Good question, though. Okay, everybody. Hey, thanks for joining me today. Barb, thank you for helping me out in the chat. Remember, there's a survey link in there. We appreciate your feedback on that. So if you could fill out that survey, we'd love to hear from you. I'll repost that, and Barb may as well there. Thanks for joining me. Coming up next, we have generating income in your portfolio. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. Bye-bye.